as Clive said, my next guest did become a television star as the dizzy blonde in The Laughing. Then she conquered Hollywood, not simply as an actress who was both sexy and funny, but as a producer and a filmmaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Goldie Hawn.
You are really funny. Really funny.
So...
Really smart. I mean, I could listen to you, you know, talk.
You want to be treated rough?
I do.
I'm your man.
Yes,
Those Australians are tough.
What do women want? I mean, that's the question he posed, you see. You know, let's ask a woman. What...
It's so interesting, that question, because we don't really know. I mean, we could say one day we feel we want that tough guy, and then the next day you can say, well, I don't really feel like that tough guy right now. I want that really sensitive guy. I want him to feel like soft and cushy.
I can be soft and cushy. I can be soft and cushy.
It's an odd thing, but women want lots of things. I don't think one man can serve a woman completely with all that she needs.
Yeah. Well, that lets us out then, Clive.
Man. Speak for yourself, old boy. Serve completely. I like the sound of that.
I mean, if we could actually find all the personalities inside of us, file them and hone them, and own them, then think of all the people we could be for our mates.
Yeah.
Because I really do. I mean, you know, so Russell Crowe is rough and tough, you know? You get tired of that. Yeah. I mean, I think he's a cool guy and I like him. Yeah. But, you know, and Kurt is a perfect example.
Kurt Russell.
Because Kurt is a tough, he looks like, you know, a tough guy. Very strong. He's got very strong opinions. There's not a lot of gray area. I like that. I like that with him. There's never a dull moment. But he's also incredibly warm. He's very surprising. I don't always know what he's going to say. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't even know when he's going to cry. I mean, sometimes he'll cry and I go, oh, I love this. So it's not all one thing, okay?
No, that's good.
Well, that just makes it harder.
Well, come on, guys. You've got to work at this. Yeah. It isn't that simple. I mean, when men, you know, have a relationship, and obviously we're talking about relationships, aren't we? Right. Yeah. So don't men just sort of want their wife, lovely wife, and then desire something else? It's what happens. So all this conversation, we could do a whole show on this. But how do we, what is the word? Integrate all of our needs so all of us can stay happy and stay together.
Polygamy is the answer. Yeah.
Polygamy is, exactly. Yeah.
Well, what about, I mean, talking about relationships with Kurt, I mean, one thing about you, you've been together 17 years and never got married. 18 years.
We just had an anniversary.
18 years and never got married.
My bangs need cut.
Is that a way of avoiding the question?
No, but look. I have to cut them before the BAFTA awards.
You do.
Okay, so 18 years, we just had our anniversary on Valentine's Day. And what's the question?
The question is, why did you never get married, and are you going to get married?
Well, I've been married.
I know, twice before.
Right. So that didn't work. So I figured, why not try something different? And let's not own each other. Let's not have any one country, state, city decide what the rules are. God is inside of us, all around us, so I consider myself blessed, and we're blessed every day. I wake up every morning with the choice to be where I am. There's no law or lawyer that's going to be able to tell me what I need to feel and what I don't need to feel, or minister or rabbi. So I've decided that I like that way of life.
But you can do this because you're a powerful woman, can't you?
Yes, because I do have a sense of self and of place, and I have the power of my convictions, and I like myself.
And you have the economic strength, so you can tell
That's
anyone
right,
to go to hell,
that's
which is very important. yeah.
Exactly. And I do have economic independence,
Well,
which I think is a big issue.
Oh, of course it is. But I mean, going back, I mean, you are this rare bird. You're this person in Hollywood, this woman in Hollywood who is powerful. But going back to what Clive was saying about him wanting to be famous from a very early age, is that what you want to be famous?
No, I did not want to be
No?
famous. I was completely a realist. I think it was my father's, gift to me, is that to be real, to live a real life was what was important. Not to have pipe dreams or dream that something's going to happen to you or that you could actually become a star. My dream was to be a dancer. And when I went out to LA, I went out because I was dancing. And then I did that gig, and then I got another gig, and I went to Las Vegas, and I danced in Las Vegas for 3 months. And then I hated Vegas, and I decided to maybe go on the road with these guys, and I called my dad, who was a musician, and he said, I trucked all over the place in clubs. It's not a good life. I wouldn't do it. And I said, okay, so what I'll do is I'll go back to LA, I'll give myself 9 months. I'll see if I can get on a TV show dancing, and if not, I'll come back and I'll open a dancing school. Because I always looked ahead at what I was going to do. It was an industrial mentality, right? So I gave myself that time period, and lo and behold, I did that television show, and an agent saw me, signed me to the William Morris Agency, and in 2 weeks later, I had a role written in for me in this part in a television series that was...
Which made you a star.
Which has started my career.
But I mean, a lot of people, that would have happened to quite a few people, but they did not have the career that you've had, because what you did then was that you turned that on its head. I mean, then you're the dizzy blonde, the new girl in town, right?
Right.
And that's a fairly slender premise to go to Hollywood
Absolutely.
on. But you turned that round and became something far more substantial.
You know, the one question that I was asked when I was young, when I was on Laugh-In, was all the women at that time, you see, were burning their bras. I mean, this is the time that women's liberation was really happening, right? And Greer and this one and that one, and they were all talking about, And I was just enjoying, I was 21 years old, give me a break, And I was just enjoying, being who I was. I was successful, I had a job, I got married, I cooked dinner, I had a great life. And they'd say to me, don't you feel that it's irresponsible to be doing what you're doing at this time in history when women are actually declaring their independence and it's women's liberation? And I remember at the age of 21, I looked up at them and I said, I don't understand that because I already feel liberated. So in that is the liberation really is inside.
I must say, as a red-blooded Russell Crowe type Australian male, it was a great moment when the bras burned, Because I'd never
Now
known,
they burned the bottoms.
I'd never known how to get them off.
That is a
There was
problem,
always
isn't
one
it?
more hook.
I totally ruined your joke. I went right in the
No,
timing.
you didn't. You gave it that little extra seconds pause that gave it that extra tang.
But I mean, you told me the last time that we met about that dancing. I mean, you made it sound like, it's like chorus line, but it wasn't. I mean, you had some awful gigs, didn't you? I mean, you worked
horrible.
in go-go clubs. And
Yeah.
You were in a cage and men sort of...
Yes, it wasn't, let's put it this way. For a young girl in New York at that time, when doing what I was doing, I had so many, propositions and not very nice things. It's a wonder that I came out really loving them.
Good to ask you, that's right.
Because they weren't very nice, and you are an object, and I took responsibility for that, which is, part of the deal. 1 finger out, 3 fingers back to you, right? So I was up there dancing with skimpy little outfits, with little things, and I was shaking my booty, and I was doing all this. Well, what do you expect? I mean, that's the whole thing. So you have to know that if you're going to take that position, and you're not in the ballet corps de ballet, which is what I didn't do, then you have to suffer the consequences.
I also read, too, that you went through the casting couch syndrome, too. I mean, Al Cap, I think, auditioned you in a rather aggressive way. Was
Yeah,
that true?
I had that. Poor Al Cap, God rest his soul. I'm sure he's doing his duty now.
He was a man, by the way...
He did
Little Abner.
Little Abner comic strip, yeah.
Yes, he was an interesting political cartoonist, which I thought was very interesting. He's very right-wing.
He was extremely right.
Yeah, and had some... He was good at that. He created these great characters. Yeah. However, poor guy, didn't have a leg.
He
He was deficient in the leg department.
He didn't have a leg. So what he did was I had me doing all this, you know, not dancing, but I was reading, and I thought I was like going to have like David Merrick's people going to give me a job. They were going to work with me, going to help train me, you know. And I was dancing at the World's Fair at the time doing the can-can over a bar. So I was like, I was so successful in my own eyes, in my own mind, right? So anyway, I had to pour his tea and do all this stuff. So I was walking around. He said, now, I want you to walk over there, and because I like to see your legs, because you could be Daisy May. And suddenly I looked at my legs, I looked at my breasts, and I'm not even Daisy May because she had these big tits.
That's right.
You know, everything was like, bloop, bloop, and I'm flat as a pancake, you know? Felt weird. And then he said, pull your things up. So I pulled, in those days, it wasn't so mini, you know. So I pulled it up to a mini height. Actually, it was getting there, but I was more conservative. So anyway, I walked over, and he had pulled that leg, I'm sorry to be disgusting, but, you know, it's late night television, he took the wooden leg and lifted it up on the couch. It was so awful. And he had this, like, robe on, which was already suspect, you know. And he leaned back, and I gasped. I swear to God, it was like... Mr. Cap, I said, I will never get a job like this. He said, well, you'll never go anywhere in this business. Go back and marry a Jewish dentist like your mother said for you to do, which is what I shared with him in the beginning of our sweet chat. And I said, well, then I will go back and marry a Jewish dentist. And I have to go to the World's Fair now. And now I have to take a cab because I'm late. And he threw $20 at me. And he said, you'll never get anywhere in this business.
Wrong, Al.
Yeah, wrong.
I had the last laugh.
Yes, you did, absolutely. Absolutely did.
So that was that story.
Well, no, but what's interesting, now, you must look at your daughter now, Kate Hudson.
Yes.
Who I saw in Almost Famous, who's wonderful.
Yes,
I mean,
she's wonderful.
She's got a big career ahead of her.
I know.
And so having gone through all that you had to go through,
yeah,
in a sense, to make it to where you are, you must have felt, well, how did you feel when she said she wanted to be an actress?
Oh, fine.
You did.
Mean, Katie she came out. I mean, you know with your children, I mean, she didn't come out saying, I want to read Proust. She came out saying, da-da-da-da-da-da, Mommy, I'm here. You know, I mean, her entrance into the room was always a main event.
Right.
Kate was always, no, the key to, I think, having healthy children, whatever they want to do, is that, particularly in the industry, if that's what you want to do,
sure,
is to make sure that they stay in school, they do their work, that they get their work done, and that after they graduate high school, I wanted college for Kate, but she said she wanted to start her career, but high school, then they can go out. And she said, I want to try it for a year, Mom. I said, now you can go. Now you can get your agent and do all that stuff, but not before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it worked out very well.
Yeah.
She's a fantastic person.
Yeah, she's a good actress and obviously got a great career. But so you're not frightened of that being replicated, all that sort of tough time that
Oh, she'll have tough times.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is it different Hollywood now? Than
I
it was
wouldn't
in
like
those
life
days?
without them, and I think that it would be terrible if she didn't have tough times.
But is it different Hollywood? The Hollywood she's going to than the one that you went to?
The Hollywood is very different.
Is it different for women? Is it better for women? Worse for women?
It's in some ways it's better for women. I think that we've come a bit of a way. I really do.
Well, it's got a lot to do with people like you and indeed Barbara Streisand. But to do that, you had to assume power, which means you had to contradict men, put them in their place, and fight the battles.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. It really wasn't easy. And a lot of times it was what you'd call a double-edged sword. So if in those ways for my daughter, I hope that I was a trailblazer for the girls, for the young girls. I know they all have their own production companies now. And, you know, what's her name? Drew Barrymore has hers, and Julia, and all these people are having, and they're producing their own things, and they're getting involved in their own careers. They are taking control. Kate Hudson is definitely her mother's daughter. She is very smart. She is entrepreneurial by nature. She knows when things work and when they don't work, and she doesn't mince words, which is very important. But the double-edged sword is that the good news is 1981, Goldie did Private Benjamin. It was a big smash hit. I also
produced it.
produced it.
That's right.
Now, it was a big deal, right? I was on the cover of Newsweek. It was all great, and we would think that this was a real cause for celebration. However, what happened was a backlash, because then I became a person who wanted to control everything I did. This was the perception. This was not the truth. The perception was that I was being controlling, that directors maybe didn't want to work with me, that suddenly I became kind of a one-man band. So on the other hand, I at some points wish that it never happened, because I would just then be able to be an actress for hire. But I wasn't perceived that way.
Yes.
I mean, even directors would try to get out of my contract some of the things that I had won over the years of approvals and things like that. So it was a very, very, you know, again, happy, sad, you know.
But if you were just an actress for hire, you'd never get offered something as interesting as Swing Shift. You have to create something like that, don't you? A movie like that.
You do create things like that, absolutely. You find them and you create them. But I'll tell you something interesting now, what we're doing, and it's very exciting, is that Oliver, who is also an actor, who's now doing a television
That's your
series.
son.
It's my 24-year-old. Kate, who's off and running, Kurt and myself, have created a company called Cosmic Entertainment. And this is a multimedia company. So Kate will be producing under Cosmic, her company. I am producing under my company. Oliver is producing under his company. And Kurt is producing under his company. And what we're doing is we're bringing in all these wonderful young talent, and we're doing television series and movies for television, and it films themselves, and documentaries that I've been wanting to do for years on joy and things that matter to me. So it's our way of staying together as a family, because we're incredibly close and loving. We love to be together, and now we're working together.
You've got a dynasty building like Kirk Douglas's, in a sense.
Well, it's true. I mean, if your family loves to be together, and we do, and if we go on vacation and all we really want to be is together, then in life, as we go on, what do we do with the rest of our lives? Well, the kids want to do this, and Kurt and I want to be with them. So however we can nurture this process along, you know, we're going to do it. So it's very, very exciting.
You got any room for any old, undiscovered
We
talent?
do. Listen, the internet is a fabulous place.
Yeah. Right.
There's room for everybody on that.
Well, yeah, on my new internet channel, there's certainly room for your dynasty. But I was thinking, I'm thinking one of your movies, a sort of old, undiscovered Australian macho actor.
Yeah, you know what? You never
leather
know.
skirt.
Wearing a leather skirt and sandals.
Yeah.
And a wooden sword.
So funny.
Goldie Hawn for the moment. Thank you very much indeed.
You
Goldie
bet.
Hawn. Coming up in just a moment, Kirk Douglas. But it's time now for a song from a singer who started a career right here in the 80s and then became an international star. A new album is called Lovers Rock. From it, King of Sorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, Sade.
I'm crying everyone's tears. They're inside our pride. just walk away? Will I disappoint my future if I stay? It's just a day that brings it all about. Just another day, nothing's any good. DJ's playing the same song. I have so much to do, I have to carry on. Wonder, will this grief ever be gone? Will it ever go? I'm the king of sorrow, yeah. The king of sorrow, yeah. I'm crying everyone's tears. I have already paid for all my future sins. There's nothing anyone can say to take this away. It's just another day. I'm the king of sorrow, king of sorrow, yeah. King of sorrow, king of sorrow, yeah. I'm the king. I feel like I'm the king. Ooh, yeah. I feel like the king. I'm the king. King of sorrow. Yeah.
And that was Sade. My final guest tonight is a Hollywood legend. His career has lasted over 50 years and more than 80 movies. He's one of the great stars and one of the great survivors. In recent years, he's overcome a near-fatal helicopter crash and a stroke. He's head of the most dynamic family dynasty in Hollywood. Welcome, please, Kirk Douglas. So, just flown in from Berlin, where you got the Golden Bear Award, Special Lifetime Achievement Award. Since last we met, they've been throwing awards at you, the Special Academy Award.
Listen, Michael, if you live long enough, you get all the awards.
That's the trick, is it?
Lifetime Achievement Award makes me mad. I mean, is it over? I mean, lifetime achievement.
Exactly.
I did a picture last year, the first picture after my stroke.
I know.
So I want to be the most popular actor in the world with a stroke.
How do you... I mean, you were, what, 78, 79 when you had the stroke?
Yes, well...
A lot of people, I think, at that age would kind of...
It was 3 years ago.
Well, then you're 80.
I'm 84.
84.
And counting.
I'm counting. 84 and still here, yeah. But, I mean, a lot of people, I would have imagined, would not have survived it mentally, in a sense. They would have rolled over and said, well, this is it. But you didn't do that.
You know, I have learned so much from my helicopter crash, then from my stroke. Because first of all, you learn that things can always be worse. I'm here. I don't speak as well as I used to, but my wife said that there's too much talking anyway. No, and I look, I'm just finishing a book. I call the book My Stroke of Luck. And in it, I try to maybe help other people with handicaps. For example, depression. I know depression, there's lots of scientific causes of it, but I think one of the big causes of depression is narcissism. You're thinking too much about yourself. You have to start thinking about other people and other things, and you get, that's the way I got out my depression.
So when it first happened to you, you were depressed. You thought, why me? God, why me? And what am I going to do now?
Well, what is an actor who can't talk? You know, and at the beginning, I couldn't talk at all. Then I started studying with a speech therapist, and Michael and I were always going to do a movie together. So Michael said, well, Dad, you keep working with your speech therapist, and then we'll do the movie. I got mad. I said, Michael, why don't you work with my speech therapist? And then I said, and then, Michael, when you talk the way I talk, we'll do the movie.
So, I mean, it's the basic fact is that you had to learn how to speak again.
Yes, yes. You know, when you think of it, we talk, all you people, you talk. You think of something and you say it, and you never think what is required to, I had to learn to make every sound.
Yes.
And, you know, but the frustrating thing is my thoughts are here, but my speech is crawling around. So it gets frustrating.
Yes.
But you understand me?
I can understand you perfectly well.
Do you understand me?
Of course.
Listen, Michael, I love this girl.
We all do.
I would marry her if my wife would let me. No, she is a famous actress, the mother of an almost famous daughter.
Yes, that's right.
Katie, I think, will win the award.
But when the Academy Award.
Yes.
But I mean, well, you've got much in common. Famous, well, almost famous
No.
sons. Yeah, I mean, you've got
No, I have a famous son who has an almost famous father.
father.
And I will say that I have a famous daughter who has an almost famous mother.
There you are.
Right.
We're so modest.
Yeah. Did you ever imagine that Michael would become this great Hollywood star that he's become and producer
Michael,
too?
he never had any interest in dramatics. When he went to college, he said, Dad, I'm going to be in a play. You in a play? Okay, I went up to see it. It was a Shakespearean play, and they, you know, arm akimbo, that was expensive, arm akimbo, you know. And he had those sights on. He had a very small part. And after it was over, he said, well, Dad, how was that? I said, Michael, you were awful. I said, blah, 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 blah. I said, I don't know what you were saying. And I thought, well, okay, he's going to be a lawyer. This would be it. 2 months later, he said, I'm going to be in a play. Okay. I went to see it. After the play, he said, how was it? I said, Michael, you were very, very good. And Michael, he has been very good every time since then, I think.
Oh, he's a
So
great
silly
actor.
girl, you're very proud of him, obviously.
Yes, because I think he's a great actor. He there's a picture that wasn't seen so often, Wonder Boys. He was
Yeah,
very
no,
good.
Good movie. Yeah,
And then he's also this year, It was a movie, Traffic, which was a wonderful, wonderful movie.
You went to the wedding, didn't you?
I did.
Do you know the only people who didn't go to your wedding is me and Clive?
That's not true.
You should have invited
I
him.
was insulted. Yeah.
Listen, I was at the wedding. I didn't see Goldie. There's so many.
I know, it's true. I saw
Did you
you
enjoy-
dancing, though. I was jealous.
Did you enjoy the wedding?
It's a fairy story, but I will tell you something. If I live 2 more years, I will be married for 50 years.
50.
And I decided to have a wedding.
Oh,
Almost
great.
as big, because when I was married, we were rushed. I was doing 20,000 leagues under the sea, and then we rushed Saturday to Las Vegas, and we were married by a guy called Honest Don Lytle. I think he was a phony.
So you've got me mind all these years.
Maybe I'm not even married. So, and I have two sons, four grandsons. But this time, of course, if my wife said yes, I will propose to her.
Yeah.
If she says yes, I will have a big wedding. You'll be invited.
I
think
You
that's
too, Frank.
That's very romantic. That's wonderfully romantic.
Oh, I
What
love
about, again, the question I asked Goldie, I mean, you've been a Hollywood star now for 50 years. The changes that you've seen are extraordinary. Is it a better place now than it was?
I think, things go up and down. There's a lot of talented young people, but I think I hope they concentrate more on the story.
Yes.
I said to Arnold Schwarzenegger one night, geez, Arnold, when you get a car, you give 1,000 bullets. When I was in Western, I killed a guy with only 1 bullet.
Exactly.
That's a wasting.
One bullet.
So perfect.
You also said once, which I found a very interesting quote from you. You said that even though you came from the background that you did, that you thought that Michael was more disadvantaged than you were.
Of course.
But how so?
Goldie would know what I mean. I was very poor, didn't have enough to eat. So I had nowhere to go but up. I mean, I was already down.
That's right.
But my sons, they know they're always going to be enough to eat.
Right.
They know there's enough money for college. So that's a disadvantage. They have to overcome that.
I was going to add to that in terms of Kate and Oliver and so forth, is that they look at me remembering, and I tell them my stories of how I struggled and how I danced on tables and how I met all these crazy people and how I didn't have any money and how I gave my last dime to a cab driver for a tip, and I was crying because I couldn't give him more. And Katie looked at me and she said, and Oliver both, and they said, we'll never know what that's like.
Yes.
I wish I could have those stories, and I don't know if I'll be able to ever have stories
But
like
you
that.
see, it's an enriching experience, but you have to be tough to survive it. That's the point. I mean, a lot of people could go under. A lot of people were like you, came from the background you did, and didn't make it like you did. And similarly with you. So there's something, there's a strong gene there. There's something that's...
But you have a chance. In my country, in England too, you have a chance.
You believe
If
that's...
my mother and father didn't make that journey from Russia, where would I be?
Yes.
Right.
Because you have a chance.
Well, when you think of the leap of faith that they took, your parents...
Exactly.
Yeah. Not being able to
Exactly.
speak the language
Yeah.
to a foreign country, that's an extraordinary... Can we just go back on this speech therapy that you have? Do you have to do it all the time? Do you have to work with a speech therapist?
I work once a week. But I have to exercise. I did my first movie after my stroke. I played a man with a stroke, obviously.
You played a boxer, didn't you?
And he used to be a boxer, and then they used some film from Champion. But in that movie, I did all the exercises that I do every day.
Right.
You have to get the lips going, the tongue going, how the teeth, and then I say like A-E-I-O-U, baby, Bible, boo. Pretty good, huh?
That's very good. That sounds damn good.
So anyhow,
Baby
you have to exercise every day.
Were there particular words, have there been particular words that have really frustrated you?
Listen, for instance, spaghetti. I couldn't, and I love spaghetti. I went to a restaurant, for the S, I had lots of trouble with S's. So that I will have spaghetti. Spaghetti. We laughed because I always make fun of myself. So I was with a group. The next week I worked at my S's. And that group, the same ones I came in, they were on another table, and I went over to the table and I said, spaghetti, spaghetti, spaghetti. Finally got it.
Yeah, it must have a wonderful sense of triumph. I mean, things like that become momentous, don't they, in a sense?
See, S, then so you spaghetti. Really, you don't think about it. As a matter of fact, I find it fascinating. No, you think, my God, we don't realize what the human body is, how a thought is transferred into speech.
Yes. What is the main message in the book then that you've written about the stroke?
I try to say to people, one, never give up, never. See, but I said, because at first, never give up. Two, sense of humor. Laugh at yourself, laugh at other people. When I said to something, and my kids would say, what did you say? I say, don't you speak English? You know, like that. And then they all laugh. Then I feel, as I say, depression. Try to think of other people. You know, try to do something for other people. And if a little bit of religion comes into it, because I believe in prayer.
Yes.
Because if you analyze all the religion, the base of it is do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. In other words, be good people. The last millennium, my generation did a terrible job. Look, it was all kinds of awful things, including McCarthy and I visited the Holocaust, all the wars. So it's up to you young people. So my wife and I do many things for my wife, especially to help young people. My wife has, she read the deplorable state of the playground in the school, so we got some money together, and she fixed 100 playgrounds, and you're going to do 300 more. So I said, honey, I'm so proud of you. What can I do to help? She said, make another movie. We need the money.
but that's the final question. I mean, are you going to make another movie?
Well, yes, of course.
You are? Of course.
Well, I'm an actor.
You are an actor. You are an actor.
Listen, but I would like to do something on your show. Do we have time? I want to sing a song.
But I know what you're going to do. You sang it before my show, you know, a long time ago.
That's right.
Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner.
Exactly.
Do you want to sing it?
Well, they do.
They want it.
I sang this song 30 years ago.
You did.
And this is a song, spaghetti. This is a song that I did with Burt Lancaster at the Palladium.
That's right.
We said, do it. Now, I wanted to sing it because the last thing when I left the hotel, my wife said, and don't sing. She wanted to show. I said, well, why not? She said, you don't have a good voice. Well, I said, you have a good voice, what's not to do with it? But if you don't have a good voice and you can still sing, that's nothing. I will show you. London isn't everybody's cup of tea. This is America's cup line. But I'm here to tell you that I disagree. Because I've a yen for singing the land. Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I love London so. Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I think of her wherever I go. I get a funny feeling inside of me just walking up and down. Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I love London town.
Yeah, bravo. Bravo.
Oh my God. When I come home, my wife will be...
You are in the doghouse,
How
I'll
are
tell
you,
you.
honey?
Yeah,
You were terrible.
Well, you were, as Clive and I were saying earlier, I mean, people like you, and you particularly, were an inspiration to us many years ago, 50 years ago, as a film star. I think you're a bigger inspiration now to the world at large. Kirk Douglas, thank you very much. My thanks to Kirk Douglas, to Goldie Hawn, Clive James and Sade. Next week, my guests are Ardal Hanlon, Amanda Donoghue, Esther Ranson and Lionel Richie. From all of us here, a very good night. Good night.